for launch. 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to Youth Night Live. So glad you're joining us. I'm Nathan, this is Colin, Andre, and Roger in the back running our tech. We're so glad you're watching with us. This is really exciting. I've loved this series so far, one of my favorite Disney movies for a while. But before we get into our new series, we have some announcements. We threw a few of them at your way last week. We want to announce those again because they're coming up soon. So in just a couple weeks, we will no longer be meeting digitally. We'll be live. We have our hangout night May 31st at the garage. We'll be meeting at 6 p.m. For a cookout, games, all kinds of stuff. And we're also going to do a kind of a live studio broadcast there too with you guys and get to call you up on stage so Colin doesn't have to do the weird things anymore by himself. So we're really excited for our hangout night. So make sure you make plans to join us live in just 2 weeks for our hangout night. And last week, we announced that we have rescheduled Neon Night finally, and it is the first Sunday in June, June 7th. It is our normal refuel night. So that night we're going to amp it up. We'll have live DJ, dance floor, paint stations, neon games. The first 100 in the door gets a free Neon Night t-shirt, but we need your help. Invite your friends. Look on our Instagram post. Tag it, share it, get people here. We want to pack it out. We had a great turnout last year. I'd love to see even bigger numbers this year. We had, I think, right at 100 last year. I'd love to see that or more this year. So we need your help to invite your friends. I'm sure everyone's excited to look for something to do, and this is a great thing to do, to hang out with each other and have a blast, just having fun, all glowing. It's going to be awesome. And last week, we also announced our new dates for our summer camp. This year's theme is called Vibin'. That's also the graphic for our new t-shirts this year. It's going to be July 5th through 7th. That's a Sunday night, a Monday and Tuesday morning. The camp is $39. It includes all the activities, your camp shirt if you register early, all your meals, our overnight accommodations, our travel, like all the stuff's included. It's really awesome. And we have some announcements to make too, kind of a little promotion like we did last year. If you have a friend that wants to attend that does not normally attend the garage, like they haven't been to the garage before, you can invite one friend. If you pay, you can invite one friend to come with you at no cost. So we did that last year, and a lot of you guys actually came as a friend of someone else. So we want to do that same thing this year. So if you register to come, you can invite a friend to come and hang out with you at no cost to them. So we'll have some more information, and we'll be sending out registration links this week for you to sign up for camp and also to invite a friend. So we're excited. Like I said earlier, we are on week 2 of our new series, Onward, Choose Your Adventure. Whether it's a journey to Ravens Point with Ian and Barley, or whether it's 11 in the Upside Down, or a flight on the Millennium Falcon, or wherever Forky runs off to next, we all love a great adventure story. Maybe that's because deep down we know we're all designed to live an adventure story of our own. And with Jesus we can. And there's no greater adventure than a journey of knowing God and Him knowing us more deeply. Let's go onward.
Destiny awaits.
Okay, I'm coming.
I see you've brought sustenance for our adventure.
No, it's garbage for the trash can, and you left the lid off. Oh, shoot! Get out of here! Shoot! Get out! Ugh, unicorns.
We're going on a grand and glorious quest.
It's not a quest. It's just a really fast and strange errand.
It's totally a quest.
We're back, so I'm excited as we start week 2, and I have a game for us tonight. Last week we played a trash unicorn game, and we just called him as a unicorn, and he dug through some trash. We had some slime and some silly string, and we got a treasure of a little penguin. It's really awesome. But we have another game, and we're going to need your help tonight to help us choose who's going to win. So if you've watched the movie, or maybe watched it with us during our lock-in a couple weeks ago, there were 3 things that really stood out to me in the movie. There was a trash unicorn. Actually, there were a few of them. There was a manticore, and I love it. There was the vehicle that took Ian and Barley on their epic adventure, the Guinevere. So we're going to play a game called The Quest. And what we're going to need you to do is choose which character you think is going to make it to the end of the finish line first. If it's going to be the Manticore, the Trash Unicorn, or Guinevere. So we're going to play the game, and I want you to, in the comments, type in which one you think is going to make it. We're going to play the game live. Manticore, Trash Unicorn, or Guinevere. Let's play the quest. Alright guys, here we go. Alright, make sure you get in the comments who you think is going to win. Alright, we have the Manticore. And we have a Trash Unicorn, and we have Guinevere. Alright guys, I think everyone is ready. Here we go, and let's go. Alright, looks like the Manticore is taking the lead. Oh, no, alright, Guinevere's got it. The Trash Unicorn's getting in the way. Okay, Guinevere is taking the lead. Awesome. Oh no.
Is that Andre driving?
The Guinevere lost a tire. Alright, oh, the Trash Unicorn got distracted by
Whitney,
the trash.
unicorn.
It looks like the Manticore wins. So if you put Manticore in the comments, congratulations. You chose right. Sorry for those Trash Unicorns. Whitney, the Trash Unicorns lost. Do unicorns ever win?
No.
No. I was kind of rooting for the Guinevere myself, but that Trash Unicorn had that trash can out there and it lost a tire. That's not very fun. Hey, well, last week we actually had a contest and we said, it's not fun just to watch Colin win. Trash. We wanted you to win something a lot better than trash. And so we started last week doing a giveaway. We're going to give away a free trip to Six Flags every Sunday night during our Onward series. And so we're going to do that again. But first, we're going to congratulate our winner from last week. KK won.
Yes.
Congratulations, KK. So when we go on our fall trip this year, your trip is free. That's awesome. I wish my trip was free. But it's awesome. So we're going to do that again tonight. So tonight, during the broadcast, at some random time, there's going to be a gem that pops up. You see that gem right here? So that gem is going to pop up. And when you see it, there's also going to be a number on it tonight. So if you see that gem pop up and the number, as soon as you see it, type in that number in the chat for your chance to win your free trip to Six Flags tonight. Well, I'm excited. So, hey, you know what? Also this week, I asked you guys to text in or respond to a question. And on Instagram, you guys responded. The question this week was, what's your worst adventure or trip ever, and what made it lame? Like, what made the trip lame? So you guys texted in. Let's see who messaged us this week. So little Nathan said, going to Disney the very first time because my step-grandpa was a blank. We can't say that because we're censored. We're going to say a donkey. So my step-grandpa was a donkey. So that doesn't sound very fun because Disney's fun, but not when people are being mean. So sorry about that, buddy. Disney magic wasn't there for you that time. All right, KK, she texted in and said, I went to go to a lake called Kinloch, and on the road trip I had to listen to country music the whole time. It was torture. I understand. I've been in the car with Colin as he sings Taylor Swift music, and I understand.
No, Oliver's just country though.
Or country. Well, it doesn't matter. And country, because I feel you. I'm not a fan of country. But yes, I understand. Okay. Oh, okay. We got another one. Jake. Basically, he said, when my family went to a hotel off the beach on Mobile, my mom got sick to the point she felt like she was dying for the whole 3 days, and me and my dad eventually caught it when we got home. That sounds absolutely terrible, and I'm glad I wasn't with you guys.
No.
Yeah, so y'all can keep y'all's sickness on y'all's trips, because no.
Hope that don't happen this week.
Nope, not a fan. Last week, though, we talked about how a friendship with God is one of the greatest journeys that we can ever take. And we said this. We said, because knowing God is an adventure and not a destination. We said that along the trip, though, even with us that follow God, those who have faith, that there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be things that literally detour us, like choices we make and choices others make that makes us kind of go off track. We said, that's okay. Like, our journey's not going to be always perfect because knowing God and faith is an adventure. It's not a destination. Because destinations mean that there's a path to start and a path to finish. And there is a clear mark. Like, if you follow a GPS and you get off track, like, things don't always work out so well. But our relationship with God is not like that. It's not just a do this, do this, do this, do this to get here. Our relationship with God is got ups and downs. It has growing and it has some pain in it, but it also has some victory too, because it's a destination, and destinations are so much better because we don't know what to expect, and it's full of the unknown, and I love the unknown. I shared with you guys a couple weeks ago, like when I go to the woods or go out like hike, I love like not knowing the exact path, because the little fear of not knowing how to get out, it excites me. I love it. It's really awesome. We also said that last week that spending time with God is an important part of the adventure, because we can't grow in relationship with someone that we don't spend time with. Like if you don't spend time with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your friends, like you really don't get to know them well. Like you know a version of themselves that really is just through social media or a text message. We really get to know people that we hang around, people we talk to, people we spend time with, people we go on trips with. Some of your best friends don't become best friends any longer after a long trip. Like you get to know the person, you're like, wow, we have nothing in common. I can't stand that person. Because when we're around people for a longer period of time, we realize our likes and our dislikes, our commonality, and the things that make us different. Some of those are good, some of those are not so good. But for the next few weeks, I want to talk about 2 more ways that we can grow in our relationship with God. Because spending time with God is an important first step in knowing our Creator, but it's not the only step that we need to take. If we want to make it on this journey towards knowing and following Jesus, we need to think about the people that we're journeying with. So last week we talked about taking the journey. Today we're talking about who we put in the car with us, who we invite along the journey with us, because other people have the power to affect our destination and our faith. And so the question I want to ask you is, can you choose your relationships? You think that the answer I'm going to give is yes. And I know I said that you can choose the people that you journey with, but maybe you disagree with that. Because maybe you're thinking, I didn't choose my family. I didn't choose who I go to school with. I don't choose my neighbors beside me. I don't even have one friend I can actually count on, let alone several I could choose from. And you may say, if I had a choice, I would have chosen differently. So can I choose my relationships? It doesn't seem like it. So I want to know, can you really choose your relationships? You're right. And especially at your age, and even at my age, there's only so much you can control about your life and your relationships. I understand why you might feel powerless to control or choose the people in your life. I know you can't make perfect friends appear out of thin air, and nor can you make someone that you're friends with be perfect. Like, I know you can't snap your fingers and make a perfect family for yourself. Because I know some of you may love your parents dearly, but they may have hurt you. They may have done some things to you that have been very harmful, physically, emotionally, and things can be really tough. And I know that you can't get new classmates by just saying, I want new people to go to school with. I want new teammates. It doesn't magically happen like that. But there's something that you can do. You can choose to invest in a few great relationships. The kind of relationships that will help you move forward faster on your journey of knowing God deeper. So which relationships are those? And they may not be the ones that you would expect. How many of you guys have ever went to a Chinese restaurant and got a fortune cookie? I miss some Chinese food. So if you get a fortune cookie, you open it up, it has something that tells you, something encouraging or a way to maybe do better in life. And a lot of people refer to those things as Chinese proverbs or ancient proverbs. And there's a really famous proverb that seems to come up in this conversation. A proverb is really just a short, wise saying, and the Bible contains an entire book of those. And it's called, you guessed it, Proverbs. We're going to read a couple of those together tonight and kind of look at what the Bible says about what it means to have good friendships. The first one we're going to look at is in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26. And it says this. It says, a good person survives misfortune, but a wicked life invites disaster. If I get that as a fortune cookie, I'd be like, that sounds a little strange. But listen, let's break it down for a second. A good person survives misfortune. If you're a good person, when things happen your way, if you're following God, God's going to provide a way out. It doesn't mean it's going to be flawless or without issue, but you'll survive it. And with God, you'll actually thrive through it. But it says, but a wicked life invites disaster. If you wonder, why do I keep getting hurt this same way in relationships? Why do I keep getting hurt this same way in friendships? Why do I keep going through these same things? Because when we choose to live that life, when we choose to hang with those people, we're inviting disaster in our life. So we wonder why our relationships keep ending the same way. We wonder why we keep getting hurt and have the same emotional baggage on us. We're inviting disaster. We're inviting those things in, and we wonder why why life is acting the way it is. Like, we're saying, come on in. Like, I won't get hurt again. I see all the same red flags as before, but I want to pretend it's going to be different this time. You know yourself that it's not going to be any different, but you try to convince yourself that it will be different. What you're doing, you're inviting disaster. You're inviting hurt again. But it says a good person, though, will survive misfortune. Because when you're seeking after good things, you may have some bumps in the road, but you'll thrive through it when our faith is based in something that is bigger than ourselves, and we're striving and thriving towards something that is bigger and greater than ourselves. Let's look at another one. Proverbs 13:20. It says this. Here's how to become wise. It says, become wise by walking with the wise. It says, but hang out with fools and watch your life fall to pieces. It means what it says. It says, to become better, to become smarter, to become better in life, to achieve your dreams, to achieve your goals. Hang out with someone who's trying to achieve those goals too. If you want to have a deeper faith, hang out with someone who wants a deeper faith too. If you want to have a better relationship, hang out with someone who wants a better relationship too. If you want to be successful, with the career or the job that you want in your future, hang out with someone who wants to be successful in that future too. Because it says, hang out with a foolish person, hang out with someone who doesn't have any ambitions, hang out with someone who has no desire, hang out with someone who just literally sleeps every day, does nothing, does bad things, does bad things to their body, chooses bad relationships. And it says, when you do that, watch your life fall to pieces. Because when you hang out with that, your life will replicate that too. This probably isn't a revolutionary idea, and you're like, Nathan, I know that. But maybe you've heard me say it before, and I believe with my whole heart to be true. I've said this: show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Show me who you're hanging out with, and I'll let you know what you're going to become. And that can be good, and that can be bad. Or maybe even like this: who you spend time with is who you're going to become. We choose wise, we become wise. We choose foolish, we become foolish. But we may say, well, I'm trying to help them be a better person. Listen, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. It doesn't always work out that way. It's okay to not have all perfect friends, but who we choose to invest our time in with, who we choose to hang out with, is going to push us forward or push us back. Now, our goal is to hopefully push those people forward, but we have to be careful not to allow them to push us back as we are hoping to move them forward. We become like the people we surround ourselves with. So if we want to get closer to Jesus, if we want to have a deeper faith, if we want to have a life with some meaning to it, shouldn't we surround ourselves with people who also want to get there too? For me, there was a youth leader in my life when I was in probably, 8th or 9th grade. He invested so much in my life. And I saw him hit some pretty rough things in life. I saw life hit him really hard. But in those moments, he always encouraged and said, God has me. God's got my back. I never saw him vocalize maybe some things he was feeling on the inside. He was upfront with what was going on, but I continued to see him pursue and be encouraged for what God's going to do, even when it seemed like it was impossible. And I was so thankful because of him, because he continued to invest in me. I was fortunate to have crossed paths with him when I did. But in more important ways, that relationship was a choice, because he chose to pour into me, and I chose to receive what he was pouring into me. It was a relationship I chose to invest in by picking up the phone, because he picked up the phone for me. It is when I chose because he chose to make sure I was at church when my mom couldn't drive me. He made sure I was okay when things in my life were a little shaky. This relationship helped me grow closer to Jesus in pretty significant ways. And actually, I hadn't saw him in probably 12 years. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was mailing a package at the UPS store here in Florence. And he was wearing a mask, so I didn't recognize him. Plus, we were both a lot older now. And he's like, Nathan, how are you? I'm like, hey, he pulled his mask down for a second. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. And he's like, hey, not to sound creepy, but I've checked you out on Facebook quite a few times. He said, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, man, thank you. He said, I don't have a Facebook, but I sometimes go check on people that I know. And he said, I see you're doing so well. He said, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, man, thank you for believing in me. And so it was so awesome to see someone that believed in me and encouraged me, and just to run into each other. And that relationship was a choice because he chose to pour into me, and it was a choice because I chose to receive it. You know, a couple years later, my senior year of high school, I went back to my old school. My parents had separated, and I was able to go back eventually to the school that I grew up in. I was so excited, but a lot of things had changed. We were even in a new school building when I first came back, and there's a lot of kids I didn't recognize because our school had grown quite a bit from when I was there a few years prior. But my first class, my first year back in my senior year, I was in a computer class. First day of school, I was super nervous because I didn't recognize a lot of people in the class that I went to school with. But there was a girl. She was in class with me right beside me. And so I was kind of nervous for the first day of class. And she's like, "So are you new here?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's been a few years." And she's like, "Well, I've been here about 2 years. My family moved here from another state." I'm like, "Awesome." And she was like, "So do you know most people here?" I'm like, "Well, I know a good bit of my class, but there's quite a few I don't recognize or forgotten about, or maybe we're new." And so we talked for a while that first day, and it was really exciting, that first day of class back, just to feel like someone had noticed me and took some time with me. And so throughout the next few weeks, got to know each other better because we were there early. Like, we both kind of got to school early because, I don't know, I'm weird. And I actually liked my school that I went to. So we'd go early and work on stuff. And because we all had computers on our desks, we would play around with stuff. It was a graphic computer web class. So I liked that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool. And I was helping her with some stuff. And over the next few weeks, I really got to know her better and really kind of got to like her. And so I got some guts up and asked her to our back-to-school dance. She said yes. I was actually kind of shocked. I figured she would say no. She said yes. And so it was really cool. But before the dance happened, we were there early one day, and she looked really upset. Like you could tell she'd been crying that morning, and you could tell that the day wasn't that good. And so I sat down for a second and said, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." I was like, "Well, if you need to talk, like, I'm here." And she was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she was sharing with some stuff with family that happened just over the weekend that was a little sad. And I said, "Hey, if you don't mind, like, can I pray for you?" And she, like, immediately said, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." And so I prayed with her and just tried to encourage her. And again, because I've known her for a while in school now. And so I was able to pray for her, and she just smiled. She said, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "Absolutely." So we continued on a few more weeks later. It's getting closer to the dance and some other stuff in the school. And she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." She's like, "I don't want to, but I feel like I need to." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And she said, "First of all, I am so thankful for you." I'm like, "Awesome, well, thank you." She said, "But I want you to be aware of something because I don't want to hurt you." I'm like, "Okay." And she said, "Obviously, you're a Christian." I'm like, "Well, yeah." She's like, "But first of all, I want to tell you," she said, "I don't believe there's a God, but I believe if there is one, you're the real thing." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She said, "I have seen so many people say they love God and have a relationship with God, but they've lived like they didn't." And she said, "I don't really believe there's a God, but if there is, and if I find out later there is one," she said, "I believe you're a true follower of God or whoever that person is." And I was like, "Well, thank you." She said, you give Christians a good name, and it's been a while since I could say that." And I was like, "Well, thank you." And she said, "Since you've known me, you've done nothing but encourage me. You've not done nothing to make me feel uncomfortable. And you even asked me, could you pray? I pray for you." And she said, and that was very respectful. She said, "Most people will force their religion on me." And I was like, "Well, I would never want to do that to anyone. That's why I would ask anyway." And she said, I appreciate that. I wanted to let you know so you didn't, whatever." And I said, "Well," she said, "Well, I kind of want to tell you that because I do like you, and I know that we should talk that stuff through beforehand." I'm like, "I very much appreciate that." She said, "So I know we probably couldn't work out, but I do care about you a lot, and I'm super thankful for you, but I didn't want you to know something later and then it hurt something." I was like, I'm so thankful for you." And so we remained friends and got to know each other a lot better. And I actually just like randomly, because I felt like I could, like a few months later, I said, "Hey, we're having like a hangout at our church Sunday night. Like, I know you don't do the church thing, but like, would you just come with me?" Like, it was like not even a service. Like I said, literally, I promise you, nothing weird. Just come hang out with me. She said, "Of course I come." I was shocked. I was expecting her to say, "No, no way." She came. She was going to come with me, and I was super excited. And she said, "Well, let me tell you too a little bit, just kind of where I'm at with my faith." She said, years ago, she's like, I was probably like in 6th grade. I went to a youth group, and she said, I sat down in the youth group. She said, and she was a cheerleader at our school. And she said, I sat down with other people that I actually know from our school here, people that I'm on the same cheer squad with, and they didn't even speak to me when I went there. She said, I felt like I was worthless. And she said, I never felt in any place before that I was so unwanted. And I said, I am so sorry that someone treated you that way. And she said, I didn't go back. And she said, that was my first and last time in church. And I said, I am so, so sorry. I said, well, I hope you have a different experience when you come hang out with me this week. And she said, I'm sure I will if they're anything like you. I'm like, well, thank you. And she said, so where's the church at? I told her the church name, and she said, that's the church I went to. My heart broke because the church that I was involved in, my youth group, was the one that treated her so bad. I could not believe that the place that I felt like I belonged in had treated someone else that way. I found out, though, over the years, they treated a lot of people that way. And so, not that it was on purpose, but sometimes we're really bad at showing Jesus. We're really bad at showing people who we believe in because we say, oh, I love God, I go to church, I'm a part of the garage, I'm part of ministry and faith, but then your actions, your attitude, how you live speak something completely different. And so luckily, my friendship to her was greater than what happened to her in her past. And I don't know where all of her choices has led all these years later, but I was glad that just for a moment I was able to show her something a little different than she'd experienced before. And we continue to remain friends. Maybe you're expecting me to conclude the story saying that she changed everything she viewed and that everything that she had ever thought negatively had changed. Unfortunately, that's not the story I have. But here's the story I do have. I grew closer to God because of my relationship with people who knew God. But I've also grown closer to God because of my relationship with people who don't know God or who didn't want to know God. I have a story in the Bible I want to talk about for a few moments as we continue tonight. It's in the New Testament. It's in the book of Mark. It's Mark chapter 2, verses 13 through 17. Kind of preface this a little bit. Jesus spent a lot of time with people who didn't believe in him. There were a lot of people who physically followed behind Jesus and yet did not trust him, didn't believe him. And here's an example of that. In Mark chapter 2, verses 13 through 17, it says this. It says, and then Jesus went to walk alongside the lake. We had two stories about Jesus the water. I think Jesus likes the water. So he was here again, the third time at a lake. He says, again, a crowd came to him and taught them. Strolling along, he saw Levi, and he was at work collecting taxes. Hey, just like today, just like they did back then, people don't like tax collectors. They don't like the government and taxes. But Jesus said, he said, come along with me. And he came. Like Jesus invited someone that most people didn't like. And in in verse 15 it says, later Jesus and his disciples were at home having supper with a collection of disreputable guests. Unlikely as it seems, more than a few of them had become followers. The religious scholars and Pharisees saw him keeping this kind of company, and it lit into his disciples. Like his disciples actually said this. They said, what kind of example is this? You're acting cozy with a riffraff. Like he's saying, like Jesus, like you're saying you're holy? Jesus, you're saying that you're like the Son of God and you're doing all the, why are you hanging with the riffraff? Why are you hanging with the scum? Why are you hanging with the tax collectors? And Jesus shot back and he said this, who needs a doctor? The healthy or the sick? I'm here inviting the sin sick, not the spiritually fit. Jesus says, listen, I'm here for you, but I'm also here for them. I have a friendship with you, but I'm going to invite them to be on a friendship with me. Jesus had a relationship with people that were sin sick and also people that were spiritually fit. But his focus was on the sin sick. Jesus constantly spent time with sinners and people who were far from God. He spent time with religious leaders that were angry, and he tells us to do the same. Jesus didn't show up to dinner with this group of people by accident. He chose to show up with this group of disreputable people, this sin-sick people. His relationship with them was a choice. He sought them out on purpose, and he tells us to do the same. Of course, a major reason why we should spend time with people who don't know Jesus is so we can introduce them to a faith, not to sit with them and do the same things they're doing. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the passages of the scripture that we've read so far. Like both of these passages clearly teach us that relationships are a choice and not an accident. But these passages also seem on the surface to send two different messages. I don't know about you, but when I think about my favorite epic adventure movies, like there's not just one hero. There's like a whole team of heroes who are journeying together to protect each other, to protect the world. And just like the journey in Onward, to Raven's point with Ian and Bardley, your journey through life and your faith, listen, it can't be done alone. We will die trying to do it alone. We need people to walk alongside of me, and you need people to walk alongside of you. Watch this with me.
When Dad was sick, I was supposed to go in and say goodbye to him, but he was hooked up to all these tubes, and he just didn't look like himself. I got scared and I didn't go in.
How unfair, it's just our love.
That's when I decided I was never going to be scared ever again.
Found something real that's out of touch. But if you'd search the whole wide world, would you dare to let it go?
You can do this.
'Cause what about
I had someone who looked out for me. Someone who pushed me to be more than I ever thought I could be. I never had a dad, but I always had you.
Don't give me up. Don't give me up. 'Cause what about angels? They will come, they will go and make us special.
He's very proud of the person you grew up to be.
Well, I owe an awful lot of that to you.
I'm not crying. You're crying. I always had you. On your journey of life and faith, you can't always choose how your journey goes, but you can choose who goes with. Let me say that again. You can't always choose how your journey goes, but you can choose who goes with you. You know, so now what? Like, who should I spend time with? Who should I journey with? How do we make sense of these two seemingly opposing messages? How do we both surround ourselves with people who are righteous and also spend time with people who aren't? How can both types of relationships actually help us grow closer to God? Listen, relationships are a choice and not an accident. Every relationship you have will impact your faith somehow. Like, the question you need to answer is this: can this relationship help me grow closer to God or not? Our relationships with other believers should help us grow closer to God, but are they? Our relationships with people who don't believe in Jesus can help us get closer to God, or they can do the opposite. So here's the question: can this relationship help me grow closer to God or not? If the answer is or not, then you need to journey with someone different. If you want to make it on the adventure of following God, if you want to make it through this adventure of faith, you're going to need people who can join you on the journey. Life is better together. You can't control every relationship that comes your way, but you can choose to pull back from the ones that are leading you from your faith, that are leading you away from God, and invest more in the ones that help you grow. Because remember, your relationships are a choice and not an accident. And you can't always choose how your journey goes, but you can choose who journeys alongside of you, who you journey with. Let's pray. God, we thank you that we have opportunity to journey with you, and that you have placed people in front of us that we can do life with. But God, help us choose relationships and friendships, God, that point us closer to you and point us closer to heaven. God, increase our faith. God, help us increase the faith of those around us. And those who are journeying further than us, help those people, God, make influences of faith towards us as we go closer to you. May our onward journey of faith, God, be one, God, that is pleasing to you. God, we ask your forgiveness in the times we come short, and we thank you, God, that you've forgiven us. God, help us journey with you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Guys, I'm so glad that you joined us tonight for Youth Night Live, for part 2 of Onward. We wrap up our series next week, and then we'll be seeing you guys live in person for our hangout the last Sunday of the month, May 31st, 6 p.m. So I'm so excited to see you guys in person. We're going to have a great night, free food, all kinds of awesome games, and then the next week is Neon Night. So make sure you invite someone, tag someone in our post. We want to pack the place out. Yeah. And hey, until we see you next time, I love you. Can't wait to see you in person soon. Good night, guys.